Well, hey everyone, welcome to part 4 and hopefully the last one. As you can see here, the keyboard shell has been retro-brighted, although there's a mark that I'm going to have to clean off. But as you can see, it came out really well, especially when you compare it to, well, the inside, which did not need any retro-brighting at all. I haven't finished putting it together. I'm going to do that in this video. Unfortunately for the mouse, it did not fare as well. Looks okay here, but when you look on this side, a little bit of marbling, which I'm not sure why, because the mouse was soaked in peroxide. Well, I do know why. It's because of the fact that it kept floating up no matter what I tried to do to keep it from floating up. I tried using tying a bolt and weighing it down, some plumber's putty, and it just did not stay down. It just kept floating up. Not completely either, it would just float up partially, and this part was out of water, this was in, and it didn't come out right, unfortunately. The mouse buttons are probably the most apparent, as you can see right there. So I tried to retro-brite them with with some cream. It didn't help any, unfortunately. I did not do anything with the keycaps because the keycaps have these really long stems on them, unfortunately, and so I can't even have them just, laying flat. Well, I guess some of them would, but some wouldn't with the cream method. And if I tried to do the soak method using peroxide liquid, they're just going to float to the top. And since I had such bad experience with this, I did not want to even risk these. Plus, I don't think I have enough bolts to tie to each keycap to keep them submerged. So I decided to just leave them. I mean, they're not terrible. Not great. Again, you can definitely tell they're still yellow, especially when you compare them to the case itself, but it is what it is, and I'm just going to leave them because I don't want them to get messed up. So we'll go ahead and we'll put everything back together real quick, and then we will finish assembling the computer and go from there. Actually, I'm going to start with the mouse first. It'll be simpler. Overall, again, other than the marbling, it's not bad. It's definitely clean now, at least, so. Oh, this button doesn't seem to click right anymore. I'll have to take a look at it later. For now, let's just get the keyboard together and go from there. So, just gave this rubber membrane a quick wipe down just to make sure that everything was good. I need to remove that screw because I need to attach the ground cable to it first. Forgot about that. All right, now the fun part, putting all the keycaps back on, seeing if I remember where they all go. Also can't forget about these stabilizers. All right, all the keycaps are back on. Let's see if there's any mistakes. And let's get these feet back on now. And there we go. Let's move on to the tower and do some of the upgrades that I want to do. Well, really the only one that I can do at the moment, and that's the CF to IDE adapter. Oh, and also reapplying the labels. We'll do that next. And first what we'll do is reaffix the decals, labels, whatever, and then we'll apply some of the UV protectant. So you can actually buy recreations of the Pentium logo, and, well, not so much this one here. I think I'm going to try to clean the adhesive off first on the back of these decals, just so that I get a good surface to affix the double-sided tape to. Now I'm thinking I'm just going to apply the tape to the opening here. Should just grab a ruler and measure, but you know, everything's professional on this channel, as I've said before. I've got scissors, but I do have an X-Acto knife, so I will just use that. So I don't know if I'm going to get this on camera, but let's see. There we go. Not perfect, especially since when I removed the label, I kind of pulled from that corner, obviously, as you can see. But it will have to do. Maybe I can reapply it at some point later. The next one to do is the Pentium sticker. I believe that was here. The logo's not perfect. Some of the ink did wear off a little bit. That's on top of the fact that it's an old sticker to begin with, but whatever. It's good enough for now. I can always get a replacement, reprint. I was more concerned about this one anyway. All right, enough trivial tasks. Let's go ahead and get the upgrade options that I want in here. I'm going to replace the hard drive with a CF to IDE adapter. All right, so the CF to IDE adapter that I have is this little one here. Probably seen these a bajillion times on eBay. Well, on eBay, yeah, but on YouTube videos. This doesn't have any sort of mounting or anything like that, because this is what plugs directly into the motherboard. I'm hoping that'll fit in here. If not, I have another style, and I also have some on order that will mount to the rear expansion brackets. That'll make it easier to get to the CF card. But that's what I'm going to use for now, and we'll see. Now I will have to use this pigtail adapter, which is fine. So what I will do is disconnect the primary hard drive completely, as well as the IDE cable from here. And we'll pull that out for now. Now problem with this is it's not, I mean it's keyed, but which one is pin 1? So pin 1 has to be towards the, yeah, so it's going to be this way, which means this needs to go in this way. Yeah, I'm not sure I like that idea. I mean, it doesn't take up much room, definitely a lot less room than the full IDE cable. Creates less clutter, but it definitely is in a kind of an odd spot. Fortunately, there's enough of a clearance between it and this riser card, so I don't have to worry about any potential shorts or anything. We'll get that in, but I'm definitely going to swap it out for the bracket one that goes into the expansion slots here. But for now, that should be everything else that we need to do. So what I will do then is we'll get the case back on, fire it up, hook up a monitor, and re-image it, and hopefully everything works. All right, let's get everything hooked up, fire this up, hope for the best. So since I don't have the original CRT, which is unfortunate, I have this as a backup option. It is an NEC multi-sync LCD 1735 NXM. It is the very first flat panel that I ever purchased, and I still have it. Now, while it might not be period accurate in terms of flat panels, not that they weren't out at this time, they were expensive, a lot bulkier than even this, and just not as good as even this one, and this is already, you know, behind the times. But it's NEC, so it fits in with this here. All right, here goes nothing. Oh, I probably should plug in a VGA cable, shouldn't I? That's more like it. Sorry it's a little darker in here, but I wanted to get as much of the brightness out of the screen as I could. So we need to go and re-detect. So it detects it as a 16 gig drive, which is cool. That's good there. And go ahead and we'll boot off of the CD, which is the first time it's being used in forever. Probably should have F-disked it first, but we'll see. If this doesn't work, now boot off of a floppy, but it may partition on its own. We'll see. It's the other drawback of an LCD display on a DOS prompt is, or with text mode, I should say, character mode, is that it can't auto-adjust necessarily. I can always try to squish the display down, but once it gets into a graphical user interface, it's not going to matter anyway, so. Okay, and it's not booting any further, so I'm going to have to partition it myself, it looks like. Alright, give me a chance to see if the floppy drive works. So far, so good. And then it gets stuck again. Interesting. Let me grab another floppy disk just in case. Alright, we'll try this copy that I created. I don't even remember how long ago. Not a bootable disk. Pretty sure it is, but what else do I have? Well, just for the heck of it, let's try this memtest disk. So it's booting that, so there must be something wrong with my original MS-DOS disk, which kind of sucks. But at least the drive does work, so. Now I need to find another boot disk so I can run F-disk. I do have this here. I just want to see if it's going to boot. I can't use this boot disk. This one doesn't boot either. Maybe there's something wrong with this drive. Let's try. Puzzling. Let's try one more boot disk that I have. Don't know if this is going to work. It's a really, really old one. Mandrake 6 Linux. So this boots. I just want to see if I can get into Linux's F-disk just to see if it sees the drive properly or not. But it is booting off of a floppy, second disk that's working successfully. Doesn't mean that the drive itself isn't bad. It's just maybe these disks are in better shape than the other disks. me see if I know they're bootable CD somewhere. Maybe even if it's like a Windows 2000 disk, I just want to see if it'll boot off of it. All right, so I've got a Windows 98 setup CD in here. I'm going to see if I can get anywhere with it. It boots, but it too seems to lock up right here. I'm wondering if it's really that CF to ID adapter. Maybe the compact flash card is just too large for this type of system. Because here's the thing that I noticed, and you might have noticed it too. We'll pause it right here. It detects the hard disk as a 6 gig drive, which is odd because of the fact that in the BIOS, as we'll see shortly, it sees the full 16 gigs here. So it's just very strange. Let's go back with the original recovery disk and see if we get any further with it or not. If not, then I'm going to have to see if I can find a smaller CF card. And I really don't want to end the video on a part 4 and have to have a part 5. So we'll probably do is just put the original drive back in and we'll go with that since it's already installed and set up. It's still showing up as a 6 gig drive though, unless it's just got the one cut off for some reason. So that doesn't seem to help any either. I might have an SD to IDE adapter somewhere, and I may have SD cards that are small. Let me take a look for that. And as you can see here, memory test passed, so let's go on to a different diagnostic. So that diagnostic passed as well, and as far as I can tell, the system is stable. It's got to just be an incompatibility with the CF or the SD to ID adapter. I'm going to try reimaging it one more time just to see, and if that doesn't fix it, I'm just going to go back to the original hard drive. So not sure if you can hear, but I ended up reinstalling the original hard drive because I just could not get any modern flash solution to work in here that I have on hand. Hoping that the bracket mount CF to ID adapter will work, as well as the smaller size CF cards. But for now, we're going to go with the old-fashioned mechanical drive. I've not had any issues, any crashes or anything. So one of the things that I wanted to do is, you know, basically demo some of the software that I first ran when I got this. Not just the stuff that came with it, but a couple of discs that I bought with it. I don't have the original. I can't find it. But one was the ASP, which was the Association of Shareware Professionals. They're now the Association of Software Professionals. Basically, it's a trade group that would, if you developed any kind of software and you had a free version or a demo version or a shareware version of it, you could include on a monthly CD, which originally I think was quarterly, and then it became a monthly thing. And I picked one up, and I don't know the exact one. It could have been, you know, December of 1996, could have been February of 97, not sure. The most recent one I found on archive.org was from June of 96. Back then the internet was still kind of new, and downloading even demos took a long time. So stuff like this was very important because it would allow you to try out different software that you could then go and purchase. We'll go ahead and we'll do a setup. Continue. And I guess that's it. I guess it doesn't actually install anything. I thought it did, but I guess it doesn't. There's an install one here, because you can also, there's also a DOS interface, and then there is a Windows 3.1 interface, which I think technically this is what it looks like, but at the same time, it's been a long time since I ran this software. But you can sort it by just software for Windows 95, software for just DOS, Macintosh software for some reason, OS2 software, Windows 3.1 software. So yeah, so you have all of these different, you know, basically demos and shareware and stuff like that. Discs like this were the only way to really try out software. So filter by category. So let's say utilities, and you can pick, you know, let's say desktop utilities. So it'll give you a list of all the different utilities that exist. Bitmap randomizer, so it would randomize your wallpaper. You know, there was nothing built in to do that even back then. Let's see, let's switch over to games and do adventure games. Give you a little bit of a list like that, and so on and so forth. So let's go back to all. There was, I think there is a search feature, yes. So we'll type in Paint here. So Paint Shop Pro was originally developed by a company called JASC or JASC or however you want to call it. And I believe they ended up getting bought out by Corel, because Corel had their Corel Draw software and everything. And I don't remember if Paint Shop Pro supplanted it or if it was just an addition to. But this was some pretty good software. So you just double click and it gives you a description, shows you what it can do and everything. Trying to remember how to actually install it. And I'm pretty sure just call it PSP, because I think this is just an installer. So, and this will unzip it into that folder. So completed. Let's go ahead and open up Windows Explorer. Yeah, there we go. No, not just yet, because I want to close. I want to exit out of here to free up some memory. Yes. Okay. So 30-day trial, and if I remember correctly, it was in fact 30 days. So let me see if we go here, and I think I don't remember where the built-in wallpaper was. No, just Windows Record, that's right, I forgot. So let's open up Clouds. Everyone's favorite Windows 95 wallpaper. And as you can see, you've got these different toolbars and everything that you can move around and manipulate. Chalk drawing. Well, I'm not sure why they're both the same color, but pens. You can select, copy, paste. Stuff like that, so no. So it was, neat software, and it got me into a little bit of like photo editing and things like that back in the day. Nothing fancy, but had a lot of fun playing with that software. There's other programs on there too that I would play with, and maybe I'll demo those in the future. But another disc that I picked up sometime after purchasing the computer was this, which you saw in a previous pickups video. Just a bunch of game demos and things like that. Now this I found on eBay, brand new. Let's see if it works. First of all, it was shrink wrapped and everything, so technically it was new in box, new old stock, whatever you want to consider it. I don't remember if it was this exact version, mind you, but it was definitely that. I don't want all these extra utilities running here.
Audio station. Launching audio station.
It's still running apparently in the background. Okay, that's better. Video for Windows, WinG, Win Graphics library. So this is probably more of a Windows 3. Yeah, it requires Windows 3.1 or higher. So install games alphabetically. I forget how I access everything. I probably should read the manual, but oh, it was right here. So 3D Demon, very primitive looking games, that's for sure. 3D Tetris, 8-ball pool. 4D boxing, no picture available. Interesting. There are many other shareware and demo discs that I purchased during that time. There was one that introduced me to Doom and Descent, and a fighting game called One Must Fall. I really wish I could remember the name of that disc so that I had it, but there's a bunch of discs like this on archive.org that you can look at, as well as other abandonware sites and things like that. Dangerous Dave, somewhat of a popular game. Perhaps some of these don't have screenshots. Heretic. Is this the basically one of id's releases, kind of like Doom but more magic based? Not sure. Is that so? Let's test that theory. I believe this is basically the a fantasy version of Doom. Yeah. Of course, I don't think I have any sound or anything enabled because I didn't go through any of the options. So that's neat that that's on here. And it does run in Windows, so screw off. Probably not perfectly, but I don't think this had Doom on it. Did I miss it? No, yeah, so it's got Heretic but not Doom. Interesting. Jazz Jackrabbit. the de facto platformer. Scorched Earth. Yeah. A lot of these games are just simplistic games, nothing fancy. A lot of these are probably just DOS games, in fact. Textris. So yeah, so I mean, this is, you know, how I got into a lot of different software when I was younger, because, you know, again, the internet was still its infancy, and you couldn't really, you know, there was no YouTube at the time. So other than computer gaming magazines, where you would, you know, get like a monthly CD, or if you went and purchased stuff like this, once you did that, you were kind of just judging, you know, effectively a book by its cover, basically, you know, taking a piece of software, looking at the back of the box, and determining based on screenshots and the description whether or not you actually want to purchase it or not. So having access to stuff like this, very key, especially in the early days of computing. So that's that. So the one thing that I really haven't demoed off yet is the NEC remote for the computer. And it was one of its highlighted features, as you see when this startup window comes up here. Mainly designed for phone calls or to play discs and stuff. You know, obviously a lot of these different shortcuts that they have here with their special utility. But let's see if the eject CD button works. Well, it recognized the button hit. It did not eject the disk though. Although the CD-ROM drive does light up when I hit the button. So that's interesting. So it's recognizing the remote control commands, but it's not doing anything. Okay, so Ring Central does load at least. Except we don't have the modem, so it's not going to actually work, but that's fine. Let's exit out and then relaunch it.
Remote control.
See what happens. See if I coax it a little. Yeah, it just does not want to eject, so it's possible this is not the original CD-ROM drive that came with it. Maybe it needs to be for it to work correctly. I'm not sure. But there's really not much else on here to... You know, if I hit any other button, it just brings up Ring Central.
Launching audio station.
Let's try Audio Station. Maybe then it'll... Why does Ring Central keep trying to open? Yeah, so apparently this does not eject CD. I don't remember how much of the remote I actually used originally, so it's not that big of a deal. I can say, though, that I did use the Audio Station app quite a bit, which was, you know, kind of neat. Just getting started with computer multimedia, so this is really all I knew, but I did like the layout and the fact that it kind of looks like a stereo component system like you would see in your typical household in the 70s and 80s, and starting to get into the 90s, although a lot more consolidation was happening in the 90s, where you were combining, you know, different components into one, you know, your CD and your cassette player into one machine, along with the radio and all of that. So yeah, so there's that. Otherwise, that's pretty much all I'm going to show off for now. This is basically the entire month of May has been showing off this computer here. So what I am going to do, though, is I'll do some follow-ups. I do want to try the new CF to ID adapter, the rear-mounted one, to see if that one will actually work with this, along with a 4 gig or 8 gig compact flash card. I still have to install the Sound Blaster AW32 card. I planned on doing it originally for this series, but because this has gone so long, I'll just do a follow-up with that. We'll also try out some different software, things like that. Maybe by then I can get my actual monitor. Doubtful, though. Although I do have a lead on a local source for a similar monitor. It's not quite the same one. We'll see if I can get that one, though. It might be, you know, the closest thing I can get to the original one So I may just bite the bullet and get that one if it's still available. I have to reach out to the seller and see. So that's that. It was definitely an experience. I really wish I could have gotten some sort of flash media to work with it now to avoid any damage to the original hard drive. It's getting there in age. It's 25 years old now, and getting replacements is going to be difficult because any replacement I get, it's going to be basically a gamble at this point. Though I do remember upgrading this one to 6 gigs when I originally had it, so it does work with at least drives that size. And again, the compatibility could just be these adapters. Maybe be expecting some sort of command that these older machines don't support, or maybe there's a command that these machines are sending out that these adapters don't support. Hard to say. I need to do a little bit more research on it. Really haven't had any issues with those adapters until now. So, but what do you guys think of the series, or even just this video in general? If you want more like this, let me know in the comments below. If you thought it was too drawn out, let me know, and I can, maybe consolidate in the future whenever I do something like this again. Like I said, there will be a follow-up to this where I will, test out some new flash options for storage, as well as get the Sound Blaster card installed. And like I said, maybe I'll have a monitor by then. But if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, and feel free to subscribe if you haven't yet, although, as usual, never any obligation. And if you didn't like the video, go ahead and hit the thumbs down, but please leave a comment below as to why, so I can try to use that to help the channel going forward. Thanks all, and I'll catch you later.